having that framework and that thought process on a regular basis of how can we go big with our customers and help them disrupt the market. I have adopted some of the most, brightest and amazing people at Microsoft. And I think, most people that you talk to at Microsoft are humbled on a regular basis of just the skill, passion and intensity of the people that we get to work with every day. And I love that. That's the best part about my job, is really the people.
Welcome everybody to the Change Agent Podcast. My name is Nathan Lesnowski. I'm Concurrency Chief Technology Officer and your host today. I am so glad that you are here. This is the podcast where we talk about the transformation of industry using technology. Companies are taking their business and they are transforming it by enabling it with technology. They're bringing technology into the way the business is delivering the very fabric of what it does. We're talking with leaders that are changing healthcare and manufacturing and DevOps and security, bringing new tech to the table. They're thinking about their business in different ways. They're people that are truly change agents in the way they talk about their business and the way they engage their customers, their partners, and their employees. We've just had awesome guests, and today's guest is no different. She is a fantastic leader within the Microsoft Tech community and within the community at large. We have Melissa Ramos. Melissa is the leader of the Manufacturing EOU's digital transformation unit and how they engage companies that are trying to take their business, think about their business in a different way, enable it with core application capabilities that bring that business in a digital way to their customers. She has a lot of experience engaging companies at different levels of the maturity curve, and we're going to talk a little bit about today about why she's in this particular position and also what she's doing with companies and how she's seen it happen. So welcome, Melissa, to our conversation.
Hey, Nathan. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. I'm so glad you're here. I would love to start with just tell me a little bit about you. Like tell me why you took on this challenge, why this is something that's so interesting to you to help customers pursue. Like what are the things that really get you on fire when you think about taking this job on?
Yeah, that's a great question. So just a little bit about me. I'm an app dev or application lifecycle management person by trade, got my degree in MIS and have pretty much worked in every job within the application lifecycle process. Not too hardcore on the dev and certainly haven't been scripting or coding in quite some time. But, as I've gone through my career, and had a lot of opportunity. And where I found the most excitement was really getting down to solving customers' business challenges. And so when I was approached about this newer area that we were carving out and making investments in, I was just so excited to really get back to my roots, number one. And number two, have the opportunity to build a part of an organization within Microsoft that was really leading with innovation and change to help our customers disrupt the market and create new business models for how they would go to market and really innovate. And when I think about innovation, it's not the next shiny new thing. It doesn't always have to be that. It can be innovating different parts of their organization, from DevOps and DevSecOps and just their tooling and enablement, and really making sure that we're helping instill creativity through that process so organizations can focus on the things that they're truly good at, which is the core of what they're doing in manufacturing.
I love what you were talking about there in terms of creativity. Is that sometimes when I think about the relationship, especially being in the Microsoft ecosystem for so long, when I think about the relationship that many companies have with Microsoft, it oftentimes sits in this, IT space, right? Like I'm moving virtual machines, I'm adopting Office 365, and there's so much more to the picture, and especially so much more to just tech in general. And sometimes companies have to redefine how they even think about tech in respect to their business. What does that look like when you're trying to form that relationship with a customer to help them either they're already on the road and they need to think about Microsoft in a different way, or they're not even thinking about themselves in that way, and you kind of have to bring them up to that level?
Yeah, That's really interesting. I think if I were to categorize our customers into where we've had a lot of success in this space, it's where we sit down and we look at what are their KPIs and priorities of the organization and their long-term plan, and how can we sit down and do joint horizon transformation planning together. And of course there's always going to be, especially in manufacturing, organizations that are just getting out of their data centers, but I think where we differentiate is leading with innovation. It's no longer a lift and shift conversation. It's a modernization and an innovation conversation. It's really looking at how can we help eliminate technical debt while we're thinking about, all three horizon transformation in parallel and not sequentially. That's the exciting thing about what we can do in digital and app innovation. Our teams are having conversations at the chief innovation level, the VP of engineering, but also making sure that we're partnering back with the IT organizations that can really help implement the governance, get products approved for the baseline and enable the entire organization to make sure that we can help fulfill a joint planning or ability to help get to those new go-to-markets.
Yeah, you just dropped a huge point there, which was this, like, sometimes we think of the tech debt or the legacy environment as like a blocker to doing the innovation conversation. Like it's somehow like one's dependent on the other, and that's not necessarily the case, right? Like we can talk about the future scape, understanding that we still have to maintain this thing over here, but our business needs to be over here. That's really fascinating.
Yeah, and when you think about innovation, it's what can we do to get the best ROI as quickly as possible? But sometimes in order to envision that, we need to slow down to speed up. So what our team can help really do is engage with design thinking sessions and envisioning sessions, our MTC, our executive briefing centers, to really bring our customers down to understand what's the business model for this. Is it ideation? What's the total addressable market, the serviceable, obtainable market, and then how are we going to help either co-create and innovate together or just provide that Microsoft leadership to help enable their business to create technology as a service, software as a service, or platform as a service as part of the core capabilities that they can provide for their customers. It's all about our customers' customers and how we can help create that better connected customer experience. And I think where we really see that success is when we have a seat at the table and the customer sees us as a true partner for innovation and change versus a vendor.
I really like how you said that about customers' customers. Like, I feel like if anybody had said that about any business, they'd be raising their game, like from being somebody. There's an individual I was listening to, he called that low focus, when you're only focused on what you need, and you're trying to sell or what you're trying to do. And high focus is when you think about not just about who I'm working with, but also who they're working with. Like, what a great way to bring that to the table and to help them focus on what's really important for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the mission at Microsoft, is to enable every person and organization on the planet to do more. And when you peel that back and look at it from my team's perspective and a manufacturing perspective, it's creating the next gen digital platform with new go-to-markets or connected customer experiences that will enable our customers and really change the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second part of it is how can we partner together to evaluate, assess, or even provide guidance on the low cost experimentation for innovation. Like how much money is your organization spending on R&D? How are you taking those ideation to test hypothesis and then to market? What's the process for that? Is it standard? And then how can we partner together to help influence that? Microsoft, I think it was Donovan Brown, in one of our 2018 Build events, which we have Build coming up here in a couple weeks, he talked about the way that Microsoft went from deploying software twice a year to 6 million times a day, right? So when you think about the ability to affect change and create that agility in your process of how you deploy things, um, it's giving you more control over how you service your customers and eliminate potential disruptions into the products and things that you're manufacturing and putting out in the market.
Yeah, I love that you brought up Donovan Brown. What a great leader, and he really, black shirt forever, right? Like he really brought DevOps to the table in a really interesting way and created a cool definition of it. But I think what he did even more is he reminded us how much tool chain is. It's a means to an end, but it's important. The ability to release frequently and at scale. I was talking with a customer last week, and they were asking me a question between well, are we going to a functional stack on the org or a plan build run org? And it was no and no. We're going to a product organization that releases and engages customers and thinks about this in a way that's tied to value. I like how Donovan kind of thought about that. When you think about tool chaining and capabilities with your customers, how often does that come up? Is that just foundational stuff? Is that stuff you have to get out of the way and help them to just get to a normal operating basis so they know how they're going to even bring value to their customers?
Yeah, it is. And it's exactly where we look at the foundation. Because when we talk to our customers about creating new go-to-markets or creating standardization across an organization, the DevOps and DevSecOps tooling and processes, and really the people and how they interact, that is table stakes. So if we're working with an organization and we know that they want to create a new cloud native application or a new go-to-market in, fully cloud enabled, it really does start with, Azure DevOps or GitHub, or how are they storing their code repositories, and then how are they securing that and collaborating on that, and going through the entire process to deploy the software. And a lot of times, we can easily support, DevOps Dojo and getting our customers foundational education, tooling, and skilling required so that we can then focus on, the larger, more impactful ROI or go-to-markets that they want to achieve by setting up the foundation for the people and process around their DevOps.
Yeah, totally. This is probably a good parlay into just talking about what successful teams look like in the customers that you're seeing. So if you were to take the ones that are here's the ones that are working and they're achieving outcomes and it's moving their business forward, and then here's the ones that aren't working as well. What are the characteristics of the ones that are succeeding in delivering value quickly and accelerating their businesses?
I think the first thing that really comes to mind is going back to the horizon transformation. So if you look at the 3 horizons of transformation, a lot of customers that focus on eliminating technical debt or getting out of the data center, or just that, doing it sequentially, they're never going to have the fortitude, the business case to do the things that they want to do, and they just kind of get mired down. And where we see true success is when we have the partnership from the top down and the bottom up, and we're able to really focus on what are the top priorities for your organization. In one example of the manufacturers that comes to mind, they want to expand their customer base by, 200,000. They're at 25,000. They have a very niche product. And in order to do that, there's a lot of governance and standardization that has to happen to make something like that scalable. And I think, when we have a seat at the table and are working collectively with the product engineers, the heads of innovation, the IT org, great partners like yourself and Microsoft, and it's a three-pronged approach of the customer really being fully vested and everybody playing their part from a collaboration perspective, and that we're all kind of marching towards the same path for success and doing that collaboratively and in a process that we all share and are vested in.
When you think about those companies, like, what's the relationship between the business owner of the particular product line and their team and the sort of engineering team, whether it's either an IT or maybe it's that product team, an engineering team that's actually in the business? Like, what tends to be the relationship between those groups and your team? Like, how does that get going, and what does the look of it look like?
The product engineering teams, they're the ones that really have the vision for the next generation of a product or a new go-to-market. And so our team can come in and really help envision what's the current state, where do we want to go, and then how can we help enable or invoke that change for, working with our product teams or creating that digital or data platform where they're monetizing data, or creating a platform that is, helping better serve their customers. And so I think it really all goes back to business value. It all goes back to what are the objectives of the organization and what they want to achieve. And then working collectively with the tech folks to make sure that they're skilled, and what does the tooling look like? Do we need to do an assessment of the current, all the current applications, or is this a new application that we're building from the ground up? Mm-hmm. And then what do we need to do with the resources that we have to really enable that? And then it really just comes down to the openness to create those long-term plans.
What have you, you're not only a person who's helping customers organize what they're doing, but you're also a person who is organizing your own team to help customers, right? So you have a team of people that are incredibly skilled and capable. Just really, how you created this group of people, some of the best people I've ever met at Microsoft. Like, I mean that very truly. Like, I've worked with many of those people over time, and all of a sudden, somehow they all conglomerated into this team, and it's just fantastic. So, like, what is the secret of like what you want that team to have, and how you enable them to be the best versions of themselves?
Yeah, it was a challenge, coming in, and I quickly realized that I have adopted some of the most, brightest and amazing people at Microsoft. And I think, most people that you talk to at Microsoft are humbled on a regular basis of just the skill, passion, and intensity of the people that we get to work with every day. And I love that. That's the best part about my job, is really the people. And when I looked at what we needed to do to make the market and really evoke change and really spark that creativity with our customers, it was, how can we have a point of view on our customers? We need to know our customers better than they know themselves, and understand, each of the different product that they sell and how they go to market, how they work together, how they don't work together. What does that collaboration look like, and how can we help be that overarching advisory team to really partner with them and help eliminate blockers that sometimes when you're on the inside, you just can't see. So I would say, first and foremost, it's really leveling up the team to be more focused as digital advisors, chief innovation officers for those particular customers, which really requires them to have that, very intimate knowledge and point of view on what the customers are trying to achieve, and then helping them connect the dots. I talk to my team about this all the time. Don't show up to the account team without having a point of view on your customer, and never show up to the customer without having a point of view on what's happening in the market with their business, what's happening with that particular industry or sub vertical within manufacturing, and what does that really mean, and how are we going to leverage all the experts that we have in these industry verticals to create a Swiss Army knife that can go in and really enable our customers to think forward looking. And I think that's really the biggest change that we're seeing. It's taking the technical skills that my team and a lot of the folks have in app innovation and really leveling up their skills to have that executive presence. And that's what I talked about earlier with success, is really being able to take that top down approach, where before, we historically had the DX team and the developer teams and, the TS teams. And now we're just taking a totally different approach and making sure that we can take the best of the tech stack and things that we use to enable our customers, which really a means to an end. And if we don't understand what the solutions are, viable architectures, the vision and value and business outcomes, and then really bringing all that together, then we're not going to be successful. And so I think it's really just having that framework and that thought process on a regular basis of how can we go big with our customers and help them disrupt the market? How can we make sure that ABC customer isn't going to lose market share next year because they're not thinking of the next best thing to innovate and delight their customers?
Yeah, that is the huge difference that the Microsoft of today is versus the Microsoft of like 15 years ago, is like even maybe 5 years ago, is just this, I want to truly understand your business in your sub vertical, what you do, how you make money, what you're trying to deliver in the mission of what you do, and how I partner with you to achieve something more. And that's such a special opportunity, because you're not out to compete with them. Like, you're out to like enable them. So it's got to feel good just to have that kind of like ability to get to, hey, I know I feel that like as a consultant, like I really appreciate that my job is like to understand companies, help them achieve something better, and that I get to kind of transcend organizational politics and boundaries and get to like kind of bust through that a little bit to help them do it. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and that's really the fun of it. That is the fun of what we get to do every day in this group and in this part of the organization, because we're the tip of the spear, working with our customers' tip of the spear on creating, new intellectual property or co-creating things together that nobody has done before, and I think that's the exciting thing about where we are today.
Absolutely. All right. Last question for you, Melissa. So I would love to hear, like, you are a transformative leader. You're clearly passionate about what you're doing. You have just so much opportunity, and you're doing some crazy, awesome things with your customers. Like, who's inspired you? Like, who's inspired you to be the change agent that you are today?
Yeah, that's a great question. The first person that comes to mind is Michael Gervais. He has a podcast and, it's author, Finding Mastery. And the thing I love about his podcast and just the work that he does is it's inside and it's out. It's all about taking a holistic approach on how you eat, how you sleep, working out, and the different types of people that he has on his podcast and that he interviews and works with are people that, it's athletes, it's doctors, it's teachers, it's just people that have created ways to disrupt their industry and what they do. And I love what he does. I'm very passionate about, my health, my sleep for sure, and my fitness. And so I always find inspiration listening and following what he's doing. But I've also been really lucky to have a lot of strong influences in my life. My mom has always been a very positive force. She's really taught me to never take no for an answer. And I think what that's helped me do and kind of evolve in my career and with my own family is just to be brave and know that the worst thing that could ever happen is someone's going to say no, and if you don't try, if I don't give it my best effort, we'll never know. So I'd rather test out as many hypotheses or have as many opportunities or at bats as possible and then just see what sticks. One quick story that comes to mind is about my aunt and my godmother. We were very close. She recently passed away about 2 years ago, but she went into the Air Force probably in the late 50s or 60s. And, after she retired, she went into IT in biotech. And so my first memory of technology was going to work with her and just being fascinated by these huge, mainframe computers that she was running in the back of this building. Back then, it was in Tyson's Corner, super like farm town. Now, if you go to Tyson's Corner, it's all built up and, there's buildings and the shopping malls and everything everywhere. But it was just seeing what she did going into the military, the Air Force, back in that time when women in the military just wasn't a big thing. And then, leveraging the skills and opportunity that she had there and applied that to IT, where it was like women in IT, that wasn't a thing. And so seeing that, it really inspired me as I was going through my degree that this was something that I wanted to do, as a career as well. And I think just having those experiences at a young age and those really strong influences in my life really shaped my outlook for my own career and, whatever could happen next.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing those, and especially the last one about going to work and seeing the mainframe and the going to the Air Force. It's so inspiring that you took that and said, hey, I can do this, and went into that career and really went and tackled it. I mean, I'm a father of 5 girls.
Wow, I didn't know that about you, Nathan.
Yeah. Wait, actually 6 girls. What am I doing? Yeah, anyway, 6 girls. And I want them to be able to have that kind of opportunity, right? Like, and it's so inspiring to see you doing this. And one of my oldest daughter is interested in tech. So it's very inspiring to me to hear your journey, and hopeful for her if that's where her journey takes her.
That's amazing. I love that. You are the busiest guy I know. I don't know how you have time for all of that and, being the change agent that you are with concurrency.
Well, thanks. we get through it, right? It's all a juggling act. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being so generous with your time. I really appreciate your engagement and your just passion for this subject, and especially your story at the end. That was super inspiring to me, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Nathan. It was great to talk to you today, and I really appreciate you having me on the show.
Awesome. And we will see you next time on the Change Agent Podcast.